Are you a ChatGPT user or AI any sort?
Yes, love it.
I think that might be alleviating some of it or making it worse or something.
Yeah. Listen, it's going to always come back to what we talked about with like the energy. And it will save them hours of time and they'll just fill their free time with more work. Listen, if you work for somebody else, you still get to decide what you do and how you do it. Ain't nobody the boss of you. Okay. This is the thing that I think you have more access to your own energy and more. I will talk about that during my keynote. We talk about happiness and how the mind, when it's at positive, how that affects output. And so, it's not first world problems to try to be happy. Like, it's actually good for your work. Okay.
You really hit that, like the mental exhaustion that you can't see.
I have this assessment. It's an energy leadership index assessment. It measures the perspective or the lens through which you view the world. In that assessment, there is 7 levels of energy.
What's the number one thing they struggle with coming out of that 1 and 2 area and moving up to 3, 4, 5?
And so I do have like a combination of levels 4 and 1. And this is a lot of what's in that book, Revolutionary Women. I'm having women punch up from level 1 to level 2. Let's go.
Welcome back. It is another episode of the I'm a Car Chick podcast. We're in conference season, not just conference season. We are in Women in Automotive Conference season. I will never stop telling you how passionate I am about this organization and about what we're doing for women in the automotive industry. We are gaining traction for this event in August in Nashville. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep telling you about it because it's important. Here with me today, the lucky guest that you guys get to hear from is one of our keynote speakers. She is a professional keynote speaker, previous comedian, best-selling author, and I get to introduce you to her today. Before you get to the conference, please welcome Shereen Thor. Hello, Shereen.
Hello, Shasta. I'm excited.
I love your energy. You're like coming on, dancing. It's perfect.
Well, you made me sound so great. I mean, now I just got to ask everybody to lower their expectations,
No, please don't lower your expectations. I saw all over your website that people were blown away by you. So
you're so
not lowering my expectations. So tell us a little bit about you, how you got into speaking. You're doing so much of it, TEDx, on professional stages everywhere. How did you decide to start doing this?
It's a great question. I mean, honestly, I think the thing that led me to what I'm doing now was mostly misery. I was very, very unhappy working a 9 to 5. I graduated college in a degree I probably didn't really want to study, but was like trying to make my parents happy, as one does when their parents dole out conditional love.
Nope.
And then I got my first job, and 3 months in, I was really rudely sexually harassed. I'll tell all the dirty details and like the full story when we actually see each other at the conference in Nashville. But man, I was so unhappy at that job for a very long time because I didn't really have the guts to like stick up for myself. I didn't really have the guts to just leave. The CEO in no uncertain terms was just like, you could work with him, right? Like you could still, it's fine. He was just joking, right? And so I was in a really weird situation where I'm like a new college grad. I have 0 resume and I just felt like I had to take it. So the misery ensued. I mean, dear God, it was not good. I'm going to take off these glasses because I feel like, we got to see each other. Shasta, we got to connect. You know what I'm saying?
If I take gray off, I won't see you. So I have to.
You're like, I need mine. Okay. So it really started with misery. I did end up getting nagged by a friend to go to this seminar. And at this seminar was where it really clicked for me that I had sort of, for the majority of my life, made choices that would make other people approve of me and made choices that would make other people happy with my choices in an effort to gain their conditional love. And, I was like, I think maybe I should try to be who I actually am. And so that's when I started doing comedy. I was like, let's go. Let me be crazy. Because that's what I actually am. I'm just going to go be my actual self, even if people think I'm an idiot. And so I just had a lot of fun kind of burning through comedy stages all over Southern California. I got up at the Hollywood Improv and the Pasadena Ice House and the Comedy Store in Hollywood. Like, yeah, I was really getting around, girl. I was just doing it. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. And then honestly, I ended up kind of really leaning almost more into that personal growth industry that changed my life. Because I was like, comedy, I think, was a disruption I needed to stop being a people pleaser. I think it was a creative adventure I needed to like finally be my authentic self. But man, I just really was transformed from having a safe space of like a coach and that seminar community and these people to kind of help me feel safe being my authentic self. And so, yeah, I just wanted to keep drinking the Kool-Aid and passing out the Kool-Aid. And so I did. And I've been coaching for about 20 years. I did write a book about my sort of transformation called Revolutionary Women 4 years ago. And that came out and then really started the speaking. It's like, once you write a book, people just start to be like, oh, you have something to say. Why don't you get on our stage? And so I started getting asked to speak. And it was really one awkward interview that frustrated me and made me decide that I was going to share my message the way I wanted to. And the correct stage for me was going to be TEDx. And so did a TEDx talk in 2023, did another one in 2024. And that's what really made things go kind of wild from there.
TEDx has a tendency to just kind of skyrocket you. It seems like I know that as a speaker, you'll speak to most audiences. You'll find a way to connect with most audiences. But what audience would you say is, your passion that you really feel like you make the biggest impact with?
Women in automotive, obviously.
Of course.
I'm just being ridiculous. But I will say I do love to speak to an audience of women who work in a male-dominated industry. Like, that's actually my favorite and my sweet spot. And actually speaking is a male-dominated industry, and comedy is a male-dominated industry. And so, coaching is definitely dominated by the ladies, though.
It is.
Yeah.
So fun how that works. Like all these industries that are male-dominated seem to bring in the most coaches, and most coaches are women. It's like, you haven't realized yet that you need women in your life. You haven't connected those dots.
Exactly.
It's interesting for us as women in automotive. I was at a conference last week and had a chance to speak with Joe Theismann, and he was doing a Q&A at the end of one of his sessions. And I asked him, as we see the evolution of women in football, to referees and broadcasters, and we also see the evolution of women in automotive, like how do we see them moving forward, and what do women have to do to stand out? Because that's what we have to do. We have to stand out, not just come to the table. We've got to be ready to push ourselves forward through the ranks. And his answer was awesome. And I honestly don't remember most of it because I was just
what was it?
This episode is brought to you by Epic BDC, your #1 outsourced BDC solution. Learn more about Epic BDC by checking out the link in the bio. I just talked to Joe. It's on recording somewhere. I've got to go find it. But I was just freaked out that I just talked to Joe Theismann. So I was like, oh my God, I forgot to listen. But everybody and came up and told me like, oh my God, that was amazing. And his answer was perfect. I'm like, yeah, it was.
You'll have to go back and listen. And actually, I'll probably go back and listen now because I need to know what the answer was.
It was his entire session was live streamed, and mine was the last or the second to last question. So we've got to go like pull that snippet out. But I freaked myself out. Which I'm a huge football fan too, so like I should have 1,000% paid attention. But when we look at all of these male-dominated industries, we're making a dent. It's happening slowly but surely. Automotive is now 17% women. Most of that happening in the independent space, where all these pre-owned dealerships. So I want to know, like, when speaking to women. And I try not to point out the differences in men and women that often, because that's not how we're going to move forward. But what differently do you think? I'm trying to come up with the word, but like soaks in with women more than it does with men.
So many things. And it's actually so interesting to hear you say you try not to point out the differences between men and women too much. Can I ask why? Is it because that might do something negative? I'm just curious.
I personally feel like the more that we say men are different from women or women are different from men, which they are absolutely 100%, but the more that we use that in strategies, the more that it can work against us as much as it can work for us. And so where we always hear, well, women are so emotional, you're so hormonal, you have scheduling limitations because you have to go be home with the kids. All of these things that they use to hurt us, we're doing the same thing back to them, and it makes it unfair.
Yeah, it makes it like toxic. Yeah, it makes it kind of like tit for tat, like two toddlers fighting. I definitely agree with that sentiment of like, you kind of don't want to get in the ring and be in that energy. I do think that's unhealthy and not ideal.
Right.
I will say, though, my second talk was really about that. It was about how men and women are different. And it was about the gender pay gap and how we could close it and how the GDP, gross domestic product, will be improved by about 20% if and when we really do close the pay gap. And it's funny because I thought, like, if you look at the YouTube comments, like I got called a sexist.
Oh, no.
Which, I mean, I don't mind being called a sexist, truly. I don't mind because I was basically, what my point in that talk was one of the main problems is that our society views women and everyone through a toxic lens. That basically we're looking through the lens of the white cis male is the right way to be and the best way to be. And so if you are closer to that, thumbs up. And if you are further from that, thumbs down. So like the whole point of that talk really wasn't to say like men are better, women are better, any of that kind of stuff. It was more like, we are coming from this perspective that sets women up to lose. Like, I never go judge a man by how many babies he has birthed. That would set him up to lose. He is incapable of doing that. He will never do that. It's not part of him, right? And so, yeah, I talked a lot about how I did end up going into entrepreneurship and being a business owner, because honestly, I think I was very traumatized by being sexually harassed my first job out of college. And I didn't really have great experiences at other jobs after that. And I don't know, I think I'm kind of meant to be this like weird creative type entrepreneur girl anyway. So I think it went the way it was meant to go. And I was insulating myself from the toxic environments that we are often in when we are plugging into a system that uses that lens, you know? So yeah, it's just kind of interesting. The whole thing is kind of like messed up from the get-go, you know? And I feel like you're saying, like the needle is moving forward. It's moving slowly, but the needle is moving forward. I do think we're making tremendous progress. But one thing that I talk about in the book, I talk about in that second TEDx talk, and I'll talk about right now, and I don't talk about this in the keynote, so it's not a spoiler. You'd have to bring me back for my second keynote to get this stuff. I talk about how in ancient Egypt, because I'm 100% Egyptian, born of Egyptian immigrants who immigrated to the US, had me and my sister here. So super American girl and also 100% Egyptian blood. And in ancient Egypt, women would rise to be like to the level of a king. Like it was very common for the ancient Egyptian society to edify the feminine because their religion had both male and female gods. So it wasn't like there's only male gods and it's all about the men and the, you know, I mean, I don't want to offend anybody with their religion, but it's like when your religion says like Mary has to be a virgin, and if she is not a virgin, it is incorrect. And, you know, when it's like that, then you start to view life through that, right? So it's like, okay, the men have the power and the women need to be virginal. And so it was really their religious perspective that actually lended itself to a very, very abnormally harmonious society. Like literally women in a neighboring area in Greece, right? So we got Egypt, we got Greece. Women in Greece would move to Egypt to go to medical school because they were not permitted to go to medical school in Greece. They would go to medical school, they would finish, they would graduate, and then they would go back to Greece and they would have to disguise themselves as a man to practice medicine. So like, it doesn't make sense why ancient Egypt was this revolutionary. It's not like it's not like it was a normal thing of the times. You know, there were clearly neighboring towns that had very, very patriarchal or whatever you want to call it lenses they were viewing people through. And yet ancient Egypt was like this little mecca, you know, where like men and women got along in harmony. And often the rights were in favor of the female. in terms of like, if let's say a man and a woman split up, all of the property would go to her because maternity was a matter of fact and paternity was a matter of question mark. So really, really kind of an interesting time to see how women in ancient Egypt actually had more rights than modern day women in many cases. So
is this still that way in Egypt?
No, Islam took over and we got all that patriarchal crap going on.
So very oppositely the other direction.
And that's really why my mom left, actually, because she was like, I see the writing on the wall. We got to go. So, yeah.
It's a perspective I've never thought of, though, that a lot of this shift could be, you know, especially in America, where the main religion is Christianity and we have one God and he's seen as male, that's where a lot of this comes from. Like when my husband and I got together, did you know that there's a monthly newsletter where you can keep in touch with everything the I'm a Car Chick podcast is up to? There is. Check out the show notes below, and you can also follow us on all social media and stay in tune with whatever we're up to. He came from a background of section of religion where the job of the female is to be home, be the homemaker. She doesn't work. She works in the home. That's all she does. She's a caretaker. Her job is to serve her husband. That's it. And I'm very much the go-getter. I was a career person when he and I got together. When I discovered that was his background, like we had to sit down and have a big conversation about it because like, I need you to know I'm never going to be religiously this woman that you're expecting me to be. Like I'm a woman of a career. That is absolutely my choice. Like these are the things that I want to do. And so the more that I think about that now, like that could be a huge piece of what's causing that shift and that divide between men and women. I mean, or at least it kind of seems to make sense because it's tough to recognize the physical DNA 100% differences between male and female, the benefits that male have over female, benefits that female have over male, without it then seeming like you're putting one on a pedestal.
100%. Yeah. How did the conversation go? It obviously went well if you're still married.
We're married. Yeah. What's funny is we, from dating to married, it was 52 days. So that conversation fit very early in the gap.
Wow.
We have been married for 7.5 years now. So he understood very quickly. There's been times where it's been a little bit rough because I work so much, but he's in a very like a very needy field. Like he's constantly working, always picking up extra shifts. He's in law enforcement. So he gets it now. He's like, okay, I work a lot. And it was back when I was like traveling a lot. So, but no, other than that, it's good. But I want to kind of cover like how do we recognize these differences without saying one's better than the other? Like how I hear all the time, like women are naturally more compassionate and empathetic, and without making it seem like men are not compassionate or empathetic. How have you seen in your experience a good way to balance that?
That's a great question. I do think everyone has different strengths, right? Male, female, or even otherwise, right? There's some men who are highly compassionate. There's some women who like really are just like, what's the problem? Everything's fine. Why are you complaining? I will say that's kind of why when you mentioned the tit for tat, right? Like the one's better than the other and kind of getting in the ring, I was like, oh yeah, it's toxic. I have this in my coaching life and world. I have this assessment is an energy leadership index assessment. And it measures sort of like the perspective or the lens through which you view the world. And it was named by Forbes as one of the top 11 assessments that every leader should take. And so I often, when I am starting a coaching engagement with someone, whether they're an executive or looking to shift their career or whatever it is, I end up starting with that energy leadership index assessment. And then I'll like coach them for 6 months to a year. And then we'll do another one to kind of quantify the transformation. So the point of all that is in that assessment, there is 7 levels of energy. Levels 1 and 2 are toxic. Levels 3 through 7 are not. And that sort of tit for tat, sort of boxing ring energy would be level 2. Level 1 is like, I lose, I surrender, you're better than me, it's fine. Level 2 is like, I'm going to win and you're going down, whether you like it or not. Level 3 and above are like, I take responsibility for my results and level 3 is I take responsibility for my results, and like whether you win or lose is inconsequential. We're going to make it happen. Level 4 is this compassion you're talking about, like the empathy, the compassion. This is where the nurses live, the teachers, the mothers, right? There's all that. And level 5 is like win-win. Like that's where a lot of entrepreneurs live. A lot of creative types live there. And then level 6 and 7 are like Buddha and Gandhi. And like, you might tap into them sometime, but they're not sustainable. Okay. So 2 feet on the ground, people. So usually when I start coaching someone, they have, let's say, a lot of level 3 on the daily. And if they get a stress response, they go, boom, levels 1 and 2, right? They'll kind of live there. Maybe a lot of level 4. But the problem with level 4 with that compassion is if you overdo it, you don't have good boundaries, you'll bottom out. You'll just like burn out and empty yourself out and just be like level 1, I can't. So I'm always trying to coach people into win-win. That level 5, that's a sustainable model, right? And so I think whether it's in a workplace or a relationship, I feel like if you're really having this conversation about how can we appreciate and celebrate each other's unique strengths instead of tearing each other down, I would say that's actually has less to do with like what you're saying or doing and more to do with like, what is your vibe? Like, are you a person who wants to tear people down because you feel insecure? Are you a person who's looking for a fight? Or are you a person who wants to live in harmony and in harmony with other people? So it's not easy to go from a level 2 to a level 5, right? Like that's why there's coaches. That's why I have a whole like actual career in this, but it's doable, especially with intention, you know? And I think in a lot of ways, when I originally went to that seminar, right, when I was like a sexually harassed person who was just allowing myself to stay in this workplace and feel subjugated every day, I was in level 1. I was like, I'm surrendering. I'm putting up the white flag. I'm not even going to go to level 2 and fight for myself. I'm just going to like let this thing be okay. That really isn't okay at all. And it was like really, really depressing me. And we will talk a lot in the keynote speech about how those kinds of choices can really not only harm you mentally and emotionally, but physically, that there's actual like health costs that come into play. So I think in a lot of ways that personal growth company, the me doing comedy, the drinking more Kool-Aid, becoming a coach, what it was like me transforming from someone who lived at level 1 to maybe was willing to fight for myself and be at level 2. And then maybe willing to like just kind of be more elevated and take responsibility for my results in level 3. Become compassionate, ultimately become a person who isn't just compassionate at my own expense, but is willing to go, hey, where's the win-win here? How can we work together? How can we collaborate? And not everyone's going to be like that. Honestly, I think that's the hardest thing about being a person who lives and thinks like this and living among people who don't necessarily, is like, you kind of got to find a way to work with people or accept what you can't control, right? Like it's just different strokes for different folks and every situation is nuanced. But honestly, if someone really wants to like make a real shift, I would say plug into an environment, right? It could be like listening to your podcast more often to feel like an empowered woman who works in this industry. It could be going to the Women in Automotive Conference to be around other women who are hitting that level 5 and really honoring their authenticity and being their full self, you know? So there's obviously so many ways to do it. You could hire a coach, you could join a group, but it does take effort. Like I do think you need to be intentional. I don't think it's something you can be passive about because most of the world lives in 1 and 2. And you see that in politics and you see it on the news. The news can be reporting positivity and they just don't, right? Because what works is reporting what is toxic. And so, yeah, you got to unplug from the matrix.
I'm like happier than not watching the news.
Oh my gosh, exactly. Yeah. And I've been deleting the social media apps off my phone for months now. And I'm like,
this episode is brought to you by SCP Agency, your one-stop shop for organic social media. Check them out by clicking the link in the show notes or visit scpagency.com.
It's great because now I'm not just always seeing, and you know, I want to be informed and I want to make a difference. I also don't want to be a depressed person. So, you know, gotta choose.
Yeah. And that's the importance of coming out of that level 1.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say is when you see people you're coaching with, what's the number one thing they struggle with coming out of that 1 and 2 area and moving up to 3, 4, 5?
I think most of the time, honestly, I'm coaching women. So I do have like a combination of levels 4 and 1. Like they give. They're hyper compassionate. They're always looking out for everyone else, but they maybe don't really have healthy work boundaries. And so they're super burnt out. And then they will bottom out at level 1. So honestly, and this is a lot of what's in that book, revolutionary women. I actually am like really in the beginning of the book helping women punch up from level 1 to level 2. Like I'm like, let's go. And if that means you need to fight, then let's fight. Like, I don't care, like do what you got to do so that they can elevate into getting up to like level 5. So yeah, my intention always is really to help women start to think of themselves as someone who isn't on the back burner of their own life, right? Isn't in the passenger seat of their own life, but kind of making them hyper aware of the fact that they're the drivers of this plane. And it's like, where do you want this to go? Like, no one else is going to take care of you. And so let's just support you in really being more intentional about the way you take care of yourself. Like, you'll see women all the time, give it all to work, give it all to their kids, give it all. But when it comes to themselves, they're like, not me. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's, right? Yeah. And so honestly, I think just having a coach to have conversations with who can reflect back, very interesting that you feel like it's fine to advocate for your kids, or you feel like it's fine to advocate for work deadlines and agenda and making that happen. But like, where are you in this scenario? And who's going to advocate for you if you're not, right? Nobody can. So yeah, just kind of bringing a higher level of awareness and consciousness to. And then of course, one of the most powerful aspects of coaching is accountability. So literally I'll be like, okay, great. What's your action item list for what you're going to do between now and when I see you next that's going to support you in feeling well cared for, right? And feeling healthy and feeling sane. And so the accountability makes a big difference too.
It's so funny, as someone who used to be I'm now a recovering workaholic, but as someone who used to dedicate every working hour, staying after late at work after everybody left, or, just working on weekends, never leaving my computer, and my husband and kids being like, okay, seriously, like, when are you going to come join us for dinner? When are you going to eat dinner with us? Or then going the other side and wanting to be with the family and doing all the family things. And hey, do you remember you have a job? And being on both sides of that, and finally being at a place where I have I'm not dare going to say those words, but have some balance between the two. And personally, like, not like I had to, had to really have any hard conversations. For me, it was setting those boundaries.
Yeah.
It was saying, hey, I'm leaving here at as close to 5 o'clock as I can. And afterwards, you'll still be able to reach me until 7 if you have any like emergencies. But if it's not emergent, it's waiting till the next day. And my family knows, like, hey, these are the hours I work. Don't try to intervene with that unless it's like a doctor's appointment, something you can't really help because doctors aren't open on the weekends for some stupid reason. But it is setting those boundaries high and tight. And now, my husband knows, like, back when I was traveling, like 1 to 2 times a month at least, that I have now, my promise back to him is that I'm not going to travel as much. I'm going to cut it down to only 2 to 3 times a year if I can help it. And I'll be here with you, but I'm also going to make sure that I'm paying my fair share of the bills, if not more, and taking care of all the finances so that you don't have to worry about that struggle while I'm gone. So things like that, those are the boundaries that I think we sometimes struggle with. Like, we see it in our own organization too, where, sometimes the bosses forget, like, these people are off at 4 o'clock and you're messaging them at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, expecting an answer. And like, I'm having a one-off text and be like, hey guys, they're off work for the night. Like, even if they don't stand up for themselves and say something, hey, they're off work for the night. Like, you're going to have to get in touch with them the next day. Or be okay with the fact that they're not responding to you. I know this is emergent to you right now, but if it was that emergent, you should have handled it while they were here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's important to have an asset like that that's advocating as well.
100% agree. And I was just going to say, America's kind of weird. Like, there's some dirty statistics. Like, there is 120,000 preventable deaths a year in America due to work-related stress, due to stress. So like, we are actually killing ourselves with this kind of a thing where people don't feel like they get to have a boundary and they just have to like give it all up. And I'm like, what? Are we okay? Like, what is happening? Like, can we just clock out and go be a human who isn't necessarily always in output mode? Yeah. So there's definitely a culture here in America that is toxic, I would say, around work and the lack of work boundaries. I'm not sure where that started or why that happened.
I think it got a lot worse when everybody went to work home after COVID. Like,
oh yeah.
Then it was expected, if you're home and if you're able to work, then I need you on demand. And
all the time.
And everybody's patience got shorter. Like, what it is that, we live to serve the client, and the client is saying, I need this today. And you're like, I can't do that for you today. Like, had to answer a phone call last Saturday. I was literally in my garage trying to get my dogs in the car to go have dinner at my parents' house. And like, I'm on the phone with him and I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I'm in my garage right now. I'm leaving my house. I can't help you. Like, it's 30 on a Saturday night. I can't help you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no.
I answered the phone.
Yeah.
So it's the boundaries are so important, but we live in such a place of discomfort in setting those boundaries.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's necessary. I actually was just having a session with a client earlier today, and I've coached with her for a year. Like, we're coming up on the year mark. And I was just telling her, I'm like when we started coaching together, you did have a lot of burnout. You had a lot of kind of like being overworked. And I was like, it only took you like 2 to 3 months. She was a quick study, like boom. She was ready to set those boundaries. And not everybody's like that. Some people have a lot more mental resistance to setting boundaries because they don't feel they deserve it, because they feel like they need to prove themselves in the workplace, because they feel like, oh, if I don't do this, that right, like all that. She wasn't like that. I think she just needed a little accountability. And then she was like, boom, don't talk to me after 6. Like, she was so quick with it. And it's been really great to see her. This is the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, and I'm going to say a lot of women don't realize, is like, when you have those healthier boundaries, you have more access to your own energy, you have more access to your own bandwidth. And so you're actually a higher level version of yourself. Yes. You are more able to make decisions more effectively, to have more creative and innovative thinking. Like, you are a much more high level person when you're just taking better care of yourself. And so we will talk about that during my keynote. We talk about happiness and how the mind, when it's at positive, how that affects output, and you get a major ROI, like so many outcomes in the workplace improve when people are treating themselves well and actually just feel good. So, it's not first world problems to try to be happy. Like, it's actually good for your work. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that, you really hit that, like the mental exhaustion that you can't see.
You've made it this far, and I have to say thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to rate the show, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, and of course on all social media channels. Light it up.
Yeah.
The knowing when you need to make sure that that's not happening, and what happens when you're not mentally exhausted, the clarity that you have, the creativity you can have, all of those things open up. You sleep better, you feel better, you're better with your family. Exactly. Like, all of these things that impact not just your personal life, but your professional life and everything in between, just because you made sure to set boundaries, get rest, and not go over the top. Like, I'll tell you, I'm one of the worst. That I think about work until I go to bed at night, and I can't cut that off. Like, the wheels keep turning, ideas keep happening. I dream about it.
Oh, that's fun.
And it's just one of those things. Like, there's so much going on, and I can tell on the 2 days of the weekend that I get to rest and reset from that. Like, I go in most clear Monday morning because I've been able to get a little bit further away from it. And so I cannot stress the level of importance that taking a break, putting yourself first, because nobody else will put you first.
Facts. Preach, girl. Drop that mic. Boom. Podcast over.
That would be very loud if I did that.
You're like, never mind.
I honestly, I can't wait for your keynote. I think that it's going to speak to me a lot more personally than you may even realize, because I've been this person for the last several years. So I'm very excited for it. And I think you mentioned you're going to try to bring some of your books too.
Totally. Yeah. Revolutionary woman. Let's go.
I know that that's also what your topic is on. Can you tell us a little bit about the book without going in too much to detail on the keynote?
Yeah, it has 9 chapters. Chapter number 1 is Awaken the Rebel, be the naughty little girl who doesn't make everybody happy. Chapter 2 is about the ancient Egyptian kings. Really kind of, and every chapter ends with reflection questions of like kind of what I would be asking you if I was coaching you. So it's really meant to support people in getting their own clarity. And actually my keynote's just like that. I like do a little story, I do a little data, and then I'm like, let's reflect, ladies. Think about this really intense question I'm going to ask you that no one else will ask you in your life, because it's makes me sound crazy. You're welcome. So get ready. It's going to be good.
I'm excited for it. And I'll make sure that I either buy your book ahead of time or get it while I'm there, because I have a goal that any of you guys that have a book, I want to get it and get it signed while I'm there.
Ooh, I like it. Let's go.
I know that you said you're deleting all the social media apps, but if anybody listening wants to connect with you ahead of the conference, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
I would say probably LinkedIn. I do LinkedIn and Instagram the most. The truth is, I will get any messages that come to me. I do have like a business system thing that like any email or DM or anything that comes to me, I can log into my business thing and respond. It's just more like me trying to control the fact that I get lost in other people's stories while I'm pooping. You know what I mean?
Oh, you sound like my husband. I need to ask you what that is because now I'm curious. Like all your places, all your stuff comes into one place?
Oh, I'll tell you all the things. It's just life, baby. Can we just talk about this too, by the way? I am learning as an entrepreneur how to be better at systems and structure and like team and roles to create even more boundaries and order in my business. And it is like everything. So for your podcast fun, I will tell you everything.
Yeah. Are you a ChatGPT user or AI any sort?
Yes. Love it.
I'm curious. It's funny because a lot of the podcasts I've done over the past 2 months, everybody has mentioned, oh, I'm using ChatGPT so heavily. What impact do you think that that's playing on our place in the workplace? And, you mentioned the deaths because of the workplace stress.
Yep.
Do you feel like that might be alleviating some of it or making it worse or something?
Yeah. I mean, I think, listen, it's going to always come back to what we talked about with like the energy. So I think for someone who is in the mindset and their nervous system is wired for overworking, they will take AI and it will save them hours of time and they'll just fill their free time with more work. Facts. There's no way, right? Like, and that's why personal transformation needs to happen for our society, right? To transform. If someone like myself, who's an entrepreneur, and I get to kind of like decide what I do and how I do. And actually, listen, if you work for somebody else, you still get to decide what you do and how you do it. Ain't nobody the boss of you. Okay. Right. So I am very cognizant that like I want to work less and make more. So I'm going to use AI in ways that are going to give me freedom because I also know when I have freedom, I think way better. I'm a way better speaker. I'm a way better mother. I have better ideas about how I can listen to audiobooks to help me 10x my business, right? So like, I know that time for me actually will be supercharging my revenue, impact, all the things. So yeah, personally, I'm going to use AI to give me free time and level up. Some people might use AI to give them free time to fill with more work. It depends on the person, you know? Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things that once you realize all the ways it can be utilized, 1,000% can free you up to work in the business instead of in the business. Like
100%.
That's our thing here.
Totally. And I think for women, it's super important to get in the AI game because I think it will level the playing field. I really do. I think it will level the playing field a lot, has a lot of potential to do that.
Think about the fact that, again, going back to the biological differences between men and women, if we had to say that one is more creative than the other, historically, I would take that vote towards women. And so when we think about that, the success in AI comes from how creative you can be with prompts, with looking at things, with learning from it. Other than those super software techie people that are like, coding is all they know and they're going to speak to you in binary code. I think that that's really where we have that chance to thrive, is coming up with all the creative ways to utilize AI. And not saying that men aren't doing it. They are. They absolutely are. I saw a gentleman in the car business who made a lawn AI. Like, he was very big on maintaining his lawn, and he literally made out a GPT for lawn care. Like, you can ask questions and it gives you things like genius. But when I look at those differences, I think that is what will help us get that level playing field.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it. So we'll see you in August in Nashville. Listeners, if you do not already have your code to come and see Shereen, or if you have not bought your ticket, remember to use code CARCHICK25. That will get you 15% off your ticket. You're not going to find that code online. So if you didn't write it down now. We're going to see you in August. Will you be there for the whole conference, or are you just coming and going one day?
I think probably one day because my kids start school the next day.
Oh man, it is a rough time of year.
It is wild. Yeah. Yeah.
What country are you in?
I'm in Indianapolis. How about you?
Oh, Missouri. Not too far.
Oh, okay, neighbor. What's
My
up?
family is over there in Indianapolis, so I've been there several times.
Oh, fun. Holler if you ever come through. We'll get some coffee.
I love coffee. That's what I've been sipping on.
Let's do it.
I'm very excited to see you and meet you in August and learn more about you and see this keynote because I'm in now. Very in.
Oh, good. So happy. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I can't wait to meet you.
Thank you so much for being here. Listeners, be sure to go get your ticket, check out Shereen's book, and check out all of her coaching stuff on her website. Do it now. All of the links are in the show notes. And we will see you next time.